Hello and welcome to Into the Light. I'm your host, Edina Mauvana. Today we have Laura Giedra. Laura is an intuitive energy healer who practices beyond quantum healing and specializes in chakra healing and channeled sessions. Her journey of overcoming near-death experiences, Hashimoto's, rheumatoid arthritis, and adrenal fatigue have led her to embrace superfood nutrition, organic plant-based diet, and gut health. Laura helps her clients restore inner balance, heal their nervous system, and reduce inflammation, empowering them to live authentically and fully. I love that so much, Laura. Thank you for joining us today. How are you doing?
Hello, Edina. It's so good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you. Well, hearing about all the work you're doing. I know we've been connected now for, I think, maybe over 2 years. I've been following in your work, and you've been helping me with my work and in energy work in general. And you're always the first person I go to for any advice on not only my spiritual journey, but also nutrition as well, and learning and talking so much about how are we healing our bodies and preventing aging and everything like that. So I'm so grateful to talk to you a little bit more about that today.
I'm very excited too. I'm very excited to share about my story and what I do.
Yeah, tell me a little bit more about that because I know you have your background in beyond quantum healing and you do past life regression work with your clients as well as karma clearing and ancestral healing. And then also what I'm really interested in is how you also combine that with food and nutrition and nourishing our bodies so that we can actually take it to the next level of healing because you've had to overcome so many not only mental and spiritual challenges but also physical as well. So tell me a little bit more about how you really had this healing journey begin and like how where you were when you were first starting to really heal your body and also combine it with your spiritual practice.
Yeah, so my journey began in 2021. I had an awakening that I can heal my body naturally. And that led me on the spiritual journey and healing journey on all levels. And obviously, I truly didn't know what I was getting myself into. But when this knowing in me was unlocked during one of the first ayahuasca ceremonies that I attended, I decided to go all in. And right after the ceremony, I stopped using all the drugs that I was prescribed in order to be able to function truly. Because without medication, I felt so much joint pain, horrible chronic fatigue, to the point where I was just not able to function. So there was no way for me to be without really serious medication. And when I say that I had rheumatoid arthritis, so to hear such a diagnosis, it's the same as to hear from the doctors that you have cancer.
Right. Yeah.
It,
It's like
it
feels like
feels,
a death sentence for some
it does.
people.
It does. It
Yeah.
truly does, because you are then being told that this is something that they don't even know why it happens in the body in the first place. They are doing all these researches, and obviously science is moving forward with treatments and all that. But at the same time, they tell you that this is something that science cannot cure,
Mm.
help cure.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah. So it's like a terminal, like you were
for life.
looking at taking drugs until the end of your life at that point. And how bad was your situation physically at that point?
Well, at the point when I had my ceremony, it was okay because I was on medications. But when it
Yeah.
started over 15 years ago, it was so bad. It came out of nowhere. It truly came out of nowhere. One day I was having dinner with my now ex-husband and his dad, and everything was just great. And all of a sudden I see my fingers are starting to swell. And the pain is so crazy. I've never experienced anything like this before. And when I talk to women, sometimes I gave birth to my son naturally.
Oh, yeah.
So I experienced a natural birth, and I honestly can tell that the joint pain that I was experiencing throughout my life was way, way worse than what was going on And
Wow. Yeah. So you're like living with chronic pain basically at that point. And when did you did start? So I love that it had the ayahuasca ceremony, and maybe you can tell us a little bit more about the plant medicine and how that really, because so many people are learning more and more about the psychedelics and how that piece is an important component in their healing journey. And yeah, so tell me a little bit more about how plant medicine, and you also combine it with all the plant-based superfoods and things like that. So how is your focus into these holistic modalities really evolved in the last 10 years, since 15 years, I think, since you've been doing it?
well, yeah, I never thought that I will be even embarking on this kind of journey. But certain things in my life led me to start looking for answers. And it wasn't really my initial idea to go to ayahuasca ceremony to heal my disease. I
Mm.
went there for different reasons, to get different answers. And I didn't know what to expect. I think I did a good thing that I didn't really look into what it really is and how it works. I didn't listen to any stories of other people. When I just heard the calling, I did it. And by the
Mm.
time I already knew a trustworthy shaman who I can go to. And again, I had a very amazing experience where I realized during my first ceremony that I was very connected to Mother Ayahuasca, that I
Mm.
was actually very connected to the plants. This knowing in me was unlocked, that I had been working with plant medicine at some
Mm.
point. I do past life regression, so I did a lot of that work as well, going through hypnosis sessions, and then eventually I learned to just connect to my past lives and kind of extract certain things that I have done in the past lives and apply them right now. So this journey and working with plants really uncovered through ayahuasca.
Wow. Yeah. And so tell me a little bit more about how past lives, like you mentioned, you're doing that work with your clients, and it started with you doing that work. Can you tell me a little bit about how things that maybe happened in our past life then create these sort of diseases in our bodies? Like you had this manifestation of like inflammation, and I know it attacks the nervous system. And so tell me a little bit more about that connection between those two, like past life and like having diseases in our body in this life that we're now dealing with, I guess, as those symptoms become so urgent that we have to take a look at that stuff.
Absolutely, absolutely. And for me, it was a lot of anger.
Oh.
In the first, I will probably just talk about the first ceremony at this point, because there was a lot of things shown to me, and I cried almost the whole entire ceremony because I was just seeing a lot of abuse towards this planet, and how I also was playing a role and causing a lot of suffering to other people. And it was so deep, feeling the suffering that it caused to others, but at the same time I was also feeling the same suffering within me.
Mhm.
So there
Okay.
was just a lot of suppressed anger and suffering, and all these emotions were just so suppressed. And I know it's also from the past lives. Even though it's very interesting because ayahuasca taught me that we're multidimensional beings, and you can then really understand what it means when you have these ceremonies and when you start integrating all the teachings and everything that was revealed to you in those ceremonies. And that's where you can really see a bigger perspective of how reality works. So it's just not only one thing or the other, but it's just like the whole thing. And that's why I believe the past lives and looking into them is so important, because I will share with you one thing today. My past life in ancient Egypt was coming up a lot today. And it was one of the most powerful lives because I know that I was a very powerful energy healer and a high priestess in ancient Egypt. And something happened, something really terrible happened. And I will tell you that these memories were surfacing out today, and I was feeling it in my body. And actually, I was stabbed in that lifetime. And I know I saw the vision, how it happened, and exactly the same area in my body was hurting today. And I was asking my body, what am I releasing? What is it showing me? Because that means that there is something that's going on that wants to be released with all these energies that we're experiencing at this time. A lot of things are coming up. And then obviously those storm, the emotions, those unprocessed emotions or feelings, they are being stored in certain areas of our bodies, right? And so when it comes to rheumatoid arthritis, a disease, something like rheumatoid arthritis, it's your whole entire system. From the medical perspective, your immune system is attacking your body. And what anger does and what all these negative emotions are doing to us, it's us attacking ourselves because we have this internal war going on within us.
Yeah, it's like us. So that's really the cause of that inflammation, is what I'm hearing. And tell me about the damaging effects of that hormonally, or how it impacts the nervous system, or how those imbalances are really how we end up having to, and like, how can we heal the problems that's created with those emotions?
Right, that's exactly where we need to look into our nervous system. This reality in this lifetime, it's all about having the regulated nervous system.
Right.
Because when you think about it, it's the like the circuitry in your body, and
Right.
every thought is energy, and there's emotion attached to. That's why they say energy, emotions is energy in motion.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so certain energetic frequency. So it's very, very important, the thoughts that we are thinking and how we are feeling about ourselves. And when I reflect back, it's very interesting that I was born into the family with very avoidant parents, and where the emotional body was not tended to. And I think it's a lot of us from those countries, and knowing what we had to go through, and the suppression and oppression, and terrible things happen to people. So, and obviously, no knowledge about how to properly tend to children's needs. So for me, since I was very, very sensitive since very young age, and we all are, but then some of us get to understand better how to deal with this reality, right? And some of
Yeah.
us just can't, and we just stay this way for the forever. And but one way or the other, what I'm trying to say here is that I realized that I never knew how to regulate my emotions. And here I was really, really hating on myself because I was so sensitive. So I was able to pick up on all emotions of my mother and what was going on with my father, and we didn't really have a picture perfect life.
Right.
I was just absorbing everything into my field, and I was not able to have boundaries because I'm such an empath. And I realized that I was just absorbing. It was not only mine stuff, but also
Like
past.
ancestral and all the family lineage stuff, it sounds like.
Absolutely, everything. And these are things are transferred in all these different ways. If you are naturally or in the environment with your parents and grandparents is one thing, but then DNA, right? You are being born into the family, and all these things that were not resolved in the lineage, they just are being encoded in our DNA, and voila, in a certain environment, certain things are being activated. And but it's everything at the end of the day, ultimately, is everything is coming up to be healed and processed. And I'm always talking about unconditional love, because ultimately that what helps to get ourselves into the better place.
Yeah, tell me about that, because I know we want to be on the vibration of unconditional love. People talk about, oh, love and light, and we just have to be loving. And but how did that really, how did you overcome a lot of the resistance to being loving unconditionally to people who, I know you had a hard childhood, and people in your family, and all the stuff that's being processed. Like how do you really advise people to sometimes feels like a lot of weight that we're carrying and we can't really let go of it in a lot of ways. So how did you overcome some of that?
So these are two very different things, in my opinion. Practicing unconditional love, we also have to get clear what it is for us, right?
Right. Yeah.
It's not only love and light, but it's also boundaries. It's also self-respect, self-trust, knowing your worth,
Right.
being able to speak your truth, and sometimes say the things that are uncomfortable, but they're needed to be expressed. And maybe sometimes we need to push this little kid of ours that we love so much, or take something away. And it's also take tough love in a sense, because if you know that something is not serving them, it may seem like it's not unconditional love, but that it's actually what it is. It's just having this discernment and this balance and harmony within yourself, and living from the heart, like regardless, helping the mind to stay away from dealing with the relationships. I think that's the key, because we need to do it through our hearts. But and
Right.
also it's so that's where the feminine and masculine energy comes in, right? So
Mhm.
I advise people to live from the feminine energy, but also have the structure and those boundaries that masculine energy provides.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all a balancing act that each one of us, where I feel like it's healing through the distortions on if they're on the masculine from the father or whatever wound or the mother wound. So I know you help me with a lot of work in that area, and just being able to understand how we're here doing that ancestral healing work. So yeah, tell me a little bit of the ways in which you work with your clients to combine this physical healing modalities with nutrition and superfood and all of that stuff for your how you were able to get off the pharmaceutical medication, but also obviously helping and holding hands and holding space as they're also doing more of this past life regression work. So can you tell me a little bit about how you're really helping clients do both of those things when they're working with you?
Yes, absolutely. I have a very holistic way and approach to whatever problems we are dealing with and how we want to resolve them. And when it comes to my work, it really, really depends. I get clients who are, what I'm, sorry, I forgot the word, who are open, let's say, who are open to do a past life regression.
Right.
Not everyone is open. Not
Yeah.
everyone is open to do an energy work, an energy session. So that's why I like to talk to someone who comes in and is interested in working with me. And then I assess the level, so to speak, where they're at. And because I'm able to pick up on certain things that we need to do and need to work through. And for different person, these may be different things.
Yeah.
There are different ways how to approach that, but ultimately what we want to do is to get to the core of the issue, the root cause of the issue. So maybe we can try and start working from energy work, or from doing a past life regression session, or maybe sometimes we need to start from changing the nutrition. And that's why I also want to emphasize how important it is to have the healthy diet and get all the nutrients, and how important the detox is
Mm.
in our body. And what helped me was that when I learned that we can heal on physical level by resetting our body and all systems in our body, that's when the healing occurs.
Mm.
So having these protocols, and there are many of them, and people are more than welcome to choose whatever they want to do. But ultimately, the idea is that you let your body rest from a lot of different foods for 90 days. And that's what I did. I
Mm.
became vegan, but I didn't last 90 days. But that was my first attempt.
Mm.
That was my
Okay.
first attempt. And I obviously saw a huge improvement. But see, I had to go from eating meat to eating only vegetables and fruits for 90 days to help my body reset all the systems. So I was not very successful because it was a big shift for me, and I knew I wasn't able to do it at that point, but I still saw improvement after a couple of months. So then eventually things were going great, but then again, the place where I was mentally and emotionally at one point was so dark that I started having flare-ups again. And then eventually this amazing company of nutrition and superfoods crossed my path, and that's what truly helped me reset my system when I went onto this 90-day protocol.
Yeah, people talk a lot these days about different detoxes. Like I know there's a liver cleanse or detox. So yeah, tell me a little bit about why, because I know you mentioned that the body needs to rest and eliminate, but how is that so important? Like I know gut health and detox health with our, like you said, the healing journey doesn't really even begin until we have that period, and our body actually is almost like, I think in some cases even like shocked and purging where things are coming up. And yeah, tell me a little bit more about how that worked for you.
Well, I'll tell you this, Edina. So I always emphasize that we are all energy, and everything around us is energy. Everything around us is energy. So that means that when we are thinking certain thoughts, then we reach out to certain foods. And this is all very interconnected. And then we make different choices, and we get into different habits. So it really, really depends on how we feel within ourselves. What is our internal state of being? So I always want to focus on the fact that when we clear our energy and all these different ways that are available to us, even dancing or singing or running is a way to clear energy. But basically, yeah, doing all that work, I realized going to ayahuasca ceremonies, doing this all energetic work, that's what it was. As I said, stuck, unprocessed energy. But on the physical body, it manifests from ingesting certain foods and certain substances. So you see, like fruits and vegetables, they have very high frequency because they're absorbing the sunlight. So you get this energy directly from source, from our sun, and then the body doesn't need so much energy to digest fruits and vegetables versus imagine how difficult and how much energy body needs to digest meat products and dairy and processed foods.
Yeah,
So
it's all like lower energy or lower vibe density foods, processed meat. But it's not only, I know some people are like very targeted on veganism, but I think, like you said, it can be a lot of things that are oily, or we always are trying to eliminate those things too. Yeah.
we also need to not forget that we have this in our genes and in our DNA that we need meat. And I understand where people are coming from when they say that we as humans need meat to be able to process properly, but it's not actually true. It is just something that we were programmed to do, but I personally don't believe that we were created to be consuming animal products. That's my personal.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So it's better to be plant-based. And yeah, so I totally agree and think that we are in this process of purging everything from our bodies and trying to eliminate toxins and focus on gut health, and also things like nutrient absorption, because I feel like a lot of times our bodies need to have a period of time where they're actually going to start absorbing nutritious foods in the first place, because a lot of us don't even have that going on properly, right, in our system. So, yeah. And so it's a whole the way I understand detoxing, it can be a long process. So how long does someone need to work with you before they're really seeing transformational results, or how long does someone need before they actually, because everyone loses patience in the beginning, right? That the results aren't coming fast enough. So tell me a little bit about how we can look forward to getting results quickly if we're focused on this stuff.
Well, as a coach, I will say, if someone works with me, you have to 100% trust in me and what I'm doing and do the things that I tell you to do.
Right.
Yeah, because otherwise it may take longer. Because as I said, I pick up on the things we need to work on. We create this roadmap, so to speak, and we are working on all these different areas and on all these different levels with someone who is interested. And then it's also like it really depends on what they want to achieve. What if it comes to healing something or like reversing like Hashimoto's or getting their thyroids intact, this can happen really fairly quickly. I cannot promise anything, obviously, but
Yeah.
from my own personal experience, I can tell that at least the way I work and the products that I recommend for my clients, 90 days. You can have an ultimate health transformation in 90 days.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will tell you, since I was experimenting with myself, for me personally, it took 2 years to get to the state where now my joints are shrinking, so to speak, because they were so swollen. And yeah, you can see some damage, like it's really, really obvious. But now it's like reversing.
Oh, okay. So you see actual reversing from the damage that was done
Yes,
already.
yes.
Wow.
So also physical activity is something that's truly important as well. So you see, there are so many elements that we need to address in the healing journey. So it really needs to be a commitment. But then on the other hand, when you think about it, you work through all these things and then you set yourself free for life. I'm not saying that everything will be rainbows and butterflies forever and ever. I mean, you still have to follow the diet, and the word diet, it's not really a diet, it's just a way of living where you respect yourself to such a degree that you don't want to put things that you don't know are not good for you into your body, into your system, right?
Yeah, you have to really want to take an active role in that change. And
Mhm.
tell me a little bit about what you would say to someone who's maybe feeling like rock bottom. I mean, who doesn't want to go on any longer. It's like hard to do this work, and you feel like very intimidated by the level of commitment that it takes to even put one step in front of the other, because I know you yourself have had rock bottom experiences and felt like it was not worth going on. And tell me a little bit about what pulled you out of that and made this really your dream and your mission work for other to help other women, especially in this area.
God, God, yeah. Everything that I've learned throughout my journey, because you also know I'm on a twin flame journey, and that's something that helps us. Being on this journey truly is all about reconnecting with God, and that's what happened to me. And trusted, I trusted that if I have this knowing, then I have the power. And yes, as you said, I hit multiple rock bottoms on my healing journey. And I'm sure maybe I will hit some more. I don't know. But just believing, even when I didn't have any results, and I didn't have results for a very, very long time compared to how it felt. I mean, it wasn't that terrible, but going through that pain, but knowing that it's worth it, because there will be, like, when you notice with whole your essence that one day will come where you will feel good again. And I was connecting. Another thing that truly helped me was connecting to the past version of myself that was healthy, connecting to the past version of myself who was this priestess and knew how to work with energy. So I implemented everything I learned throughout my journey and applied in my everyday life to be able to, every time I fall, get up, pick myself up and continue, because I've learned that there is so much support that we don't even know about. So yeah, like truly spiritual development is, I think, really, really key. Because in this kind of journey, you have to, how usually people say, I will believe it when I see it. In this case, you have to believe it and then you will see it.
Yeah. And how did you find the support? You mentioned, I mean, community or support or people who can talk to you or start to, because a lot of times in our healing journey, other people are falling away and it's very isolating and lonely time. And feel like people get disconnected from their old reality or who they might have been around and are oftentimes seeking like new sources, or people come in that are now part of their new alignment and spiritual journey. So how did you find the community and the support that you needed in this process?
Yes, you're very right. A lot of things fell off in my life, and I found myself very isolated and alone. But it's also a detoxing process. So, as we are detoxing our body, and that's why I say it really depends on a person, but ultimately, either you're going to start with energy work or doing past life regression or working on detoxing your body. Ultimately, all things that are not supporting the new version of you will fall away. So it's, you see how truly it's multidimensional reality in that sense as well. So, but I was calling in my soul family, I was calling in my soul clients, and I was accepting the fact that I will have to be alone for a certain time. And that's when I received the most support from some beings that are from unseen worlds. And I truly want to talk about it openly because this was the support that I really needed, and they helped me through. I speak ascended masters, angels, connecting to source, my ancestors, all
And
the benevolent beings in the universe who I know that they want to support us in this process.
yeah, I love that. And a lot of people talk about their, I don't know, spirit team or ancestors or all of that energy. Tapping into it is very powerful when we're feeling like lost or isolated, alone in the alone in the world here in our own reality, 3D reality that we're in, right? So it's really nice to hear that that's a big part of it and that you're on this very light focused direction to bring light and be a light worker and bring that healing energy to everyone that you work with. So I love that. Yeah, and so where can people go who might be interested, Laura, in your in following you? I know you have your like social media, Instagram. Where's the best place for people to go if they want to connect with you, reach out, learn more about the way that you've healed and maybe what they can do in their own lives to have some of these really important changes going on?
Absolutely. Well, as you mentioned, yes, I'm the most active on Instagram. I really, really like that platform, and I enjoy creating reels. I enjoy being in lives. So you can find me on Instagram, and my handle is I am Laura Giedra.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I'm
amazing.
also active on Facebook, but not as much. At this point, I'm using these social media platforms to be able to connect with more people and spread
Yeah.
the word out because I truly believe in what I do. And as I say, my initial idea was to try all these things on myself. And I was like, if I succeed, I remember this moment very, very well when I was reading Joe Dispenza's book and Louise Hay's book. And that's where I had my inspiration initially, when I was very closed off. And when I was going through my worst flare up of my life, meaning joints were just, I think my whole body was just about to.
Inflammation, right?
Yes, it was really bad. So yeah, I remember then thinking, if I succeed with this and if this truly works, then I will be able to helped so many people, and I was really, really excited about that. So here I am. Here I am
Yeah.
saying this.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, I'm here to help people and spread all of this knowledge and the work you do, Laura. I'm so happy to help you along this journey, and you're helping me along the way too. So I love collaborating with you on everything that you're working on, and yeah, I would love to just keep spreading this awareness, healing the collective, healing humanity, healing ourselves mentally, physically, spiritually. That's our goal. And yeah, so any final words you'd like to share with our audience before we wrap up here? Words of wisdom or final thoughts? We'd love to hear it, Laura.
At the end of the day, guys, it's all about self-love. Ultimately, that's what we come to this planet for, to truly learn how to love ourselves. And that's how we can then spread this love into the world.
I love it. Self-love. Yes, always a good place to start. And a lot of us, we are figuring out what that even means in the first place on this journey. And I think the most interesting thing is we have to find that alignment, whether it's a spiritual tradition, religious tradition, ancient wisdom, shamanic journey work, whatever that might be. And the most important thing we can do is come into alignment with other people who have been on that journey and who can help us, coach us through, build community, build support and network. And at the end of the day, that's what we're all wanting to do in order to get the success and live the best version and highest version timeline or whatever highest version of ourselves. So yeah, I love that so much, Laura. I appreciate it. All right, everyone. Thank you so much, Laura. I hope to have you again in the future. And we're going to have all your links linked to the bottom of this episode. So anyone who wants to reach out to Laura, definitely send a message on Instagram. And I also have a website and anything else, Laura, that you have to share with our audience. But thank you so much. And yeah, have a great day. Hope to talk soon, everyone. Laura, bye-bye.